According to CNBC, the new decade has brought more than just a global pandemic. 2020 has also marked the moment that the student national debt crisis has increased by 102%. That means that as a nation, the people of the United States owe more than $1.7 trillion in just student loan debt. And every day, the amount of student loan debt increases tremendously. The cost of education and federal aid needs to be addressed before the pendulum goes too far and students' higher education achievements are overshadowed by the impending doom of their loans. And as the author of Indebted How Families Make College Work states, I'm in the position of having a family that makes too much money but can so that I'm not eligible for college grants, but I am not also able to pay for college outright in cash. And often the burdensome price tags of both public and private nursing programs has resulted in many nights where I'm up crying and worrying when I will ever see the achieve when I will ever be able to achieve my higher education goals. Oftentimes, the impending debt that may come has even made me question if I have the opportunity to pursue my dream career. So that being said, today I will be presenting on why the reformation of federal aid is necessary, preview a plan to solve this ever-growing problem, and allow the audience to visualize what may come if this change were to happen. So to put a stop to the rapid growth of student loan debt, the Department of Education should reform the federal aid for college. But before a solution is revealed, we must understand the issue at hand and why reformation is needed. So the credit reporting company Experian states that in just one short year, the student loan balance has increased by 12%. This makes it the largest annual growth rate of any given debt. And as the debt rises, the cost of tuition has followed suit. Even with inflation taken into account, the cost of tuition has increased disproportionately. CNBC reports that all 50 states have seen college price tags increase by 40% just within 2008 to 2018. And what is even more alarming is that despite the cost of tuition and national student loan debt increasing, the Pell Grant now only covers about 30% of any given tuition. This is the lowest that has ever been allotted, and according to ed.gov, it is less than half of what was awarded in 1980. Furthermore, an unnerved public has seen both tuition and debt spike with no solution in mind, and as a result, many have begun to wonder if the cost of higher education is even worth it. Furthermore, ed.gov states that many who enroll in college fail to finish, and among the factors that block their success is finances. And personally, my graduation timeline has been postponed a few times due to the cost of nursing programs alone, so I can attest to this fact. And even the system that is meant to help students afford college has guidelines in place that limit who is eligible for federal aid. And after speaking with my my financial aid advisor from West Coast University, Raylana Figueroa, I actually learned that FAFSA doesn't recognize students as independent until the age of 24, regardless of how they file their taxes. So let's say a student whose parents can't or will not support them financially on their education journey. Ms. Figueroa states that you can appeal your FAFSA, but it's more than likely going to be rejected. Appeals are only granted for extenuating circumstances such as having a restraining order on a parent or guardian or having a parent or guardian that is in jail. This begs the question, how can a normal student afford to go to college when the cost is continually rising? And after learning about the ever-growing problem, you may ask, how can there be a solution? Here is how. So many other countries, such as Sweden and Norway, already exist with a tuition-free model of society. However, here in the United States, many are opposed to following in their footsteps due to high taxes. This does not have to be the case. We can use money that is already being spent. The New York Times report states that $37 billion worth of federal money is already being used in tuition tax credits that actually benefit wealthier families that were more than likely not worried about the cost of college. In addition, $91 billion was purposed with supporting and creating policies that subsidize college attendance. So perhaps the idea of tuition-free education can be made possible through reallocating funds the government is already spending. Another option is our current President Joe Biden's plan for student loan forgiveness. Throughout his running, he proposed a program that would forgive $10,000 worth of student debt for every year of national and community service. An example would be those who work in schools, government, and nonprofits. This student loan debt would be capped out at 5 years. Furthermore, economic and security analysis from SoNCon LLC published a report stating that Biden has also proposed to cover tuition for those who attend a community college or those who enroll in a public university for households making up to 125,000. So if we can put plans much like this into action, we'll be able to see great benefits. So we will see an increase in GDP, or gross domestic product, and college graduates. Increase in GDP and money saved will actually stimulate the economy. Soncon LLC proposes that in 2 years, 7 states could see a GDP increase of $5 billion, $2 to $5 billion in 16 others, and $1 to $2 billion in 10 states. A reduction or loss of tuition requirements would actually increase disposable income for close to $61 billion nationally. This is money that can be put back into the economy to stimulate it. And more students will have the financial opportunity to receive a higher education, and thus we will see a more educated public. But let's look at what would happen without the program. So the national student debt will increase to immeasurable amounts, and many won't be able to pay it back. They will be burdened by this debt for their whole life. And less students will be able to achieve a higher education, and the class division will grow, and less educated people will enter society. So, in conclusion, the rise of national student debt and tuition prices does not show any signs of stopping, and we need to address the problem and bring the plan to fruition so that higher education can be available to everyone, not just one group of people. Without unrepayable debt looming over students, more and more can achieve higher education goals. It is up to us as a nation to put pressure on our government officials and make our voices heard so that loan forgiveness and tuitionless higher education can become a reality. Sitting silent and believing that you can't take an active role in legislation such as this one will only lead us to a place where education is only available to the upper